When the human brain is developed to 100%, what kind of existence would humans become? Could they then break free from time and space, transforming into a being that transcends the 3 dimensions? At the beginning of the film, Lucy is tricked by her boyfriend into delivering a suitcase to a hotel, but upon meeting the recipients, she realizes they are all ruthless criminals. Her boyfriend is killed on the spot, and she herself is captured and taken away.
I don't know anything.
Soon Lucy comes face to face with the gang's boss. After learning her purpose, he scribbles down a code and steps outside while his men raise riot shields, fearing the suitcase might contain a hidden bomb. Their caution instantly crushes Lucy's hope. Forced by the thugs' threats, she opens the case, but instead of the expected explosion, it contains 4 packets of strange blue powder. Realizing what it might be, the boss orders his men to bring in a homeless man. Once the man inhales the powder, his body convulses violently, and when he finally regains control, he breaks into a maniacal, deranged smile. At this point, Lucy finally realizes that the blue powder is actually an unknown illegal drug, and her misfortune truly begins. When she wakes up, she feels a sharp pain in her abdomen and discovers a wound beneath the bandages. Confused and terrified, she is soon brought back before the boss, where she learns the truth. They cut her open not to harvest organs, but to use her as a mule to transport the blue powder. There are 3 others like her, each assigned to carry the drugs to different countries. Facing such a hopeless situation, Lucy knows the only thing she can do is stay calm and wait for an opportunity. But before departure, one of the thugs, attracted by her looks, crudely forces his hand onto her chest. As Lucy resists, she injures his finger, enraging him. Fortunately, another member intervenes before he can kill her, pulling him away. Though she narrowly escapes death, Lucy is left in agony, for the earlier assault has caused the packet of powder hidden in her abdomen to begin leaking. As the drug is absorbed into Lucy's body, her eyes turn blue, and after a violent spasm, she begins to levitate, no longer bound by gravity. Humanity took millions of years to evolve intelligence from apes, but now Lucy's brain is evolving again, at a speed hundreds of millions of times faster than normal evolution. Under the influence of the blue powder, her brain capacity reaches an unprecedented 20%. Professor Norman, an expert on the brain, once studied that most species on Earth have developed less than 5% of their brain capacity. Humans, by reaching 10%, rose to the top of the food chain. Though 10% may not seem much, it was enough for humanity to establish the first civilizations. Norman predicted that if humans could develop 20% of their brain capacity, they would be able to control every cell in their bodies at will, and at 40%, they might control other people or objects, even wielding powers once thought possible only in movies. Lucy now finds herself in that very state. Upon waking, she clearly senses the transformation within. Her gaze grows sharp, her expression cold, and countless fragments of unknown knowledge flood her mind. At that moment, another man quietly slips into the room. After Lucy eliminates the enemies before her, she easily takes the key and picks up a pistol she has never seen before, yet handles it with perfect skill. Once outside, she swiftly guns down everyone in her way. Instead of leaving immediately, she sits down and devours the food on the table, eating voraciously. After finishing, she casually digs a bullet out of her shoulder, showing no trace of pain on her face. Lucy then heads into the street, hijacks a car, and orders the driver to take her to a hospital. On the way, she gradually becomes aware of new changes in her body, realizing she can clearly hear every subtle sound around her. When she arrives at the hospital, her brain automatically translates the text on the signs. She heads straight into an operating room, glances at a patient's CT scan, and without hesitation, pulls out her gun and shoots the patient dead.
You wouldn't have been able to save him anyway. Tumor already invaded the cortex on the right side of the spine. Somebody put a bag of drugs in me. I need you to remove it.
Under Lucy's threat, the doctors remove the packet of powder hidden in her body, but by now only half remains. From their explanation, Lucy learns the drug's origin. It is a substance produced by women in the 6th week of pregnancy, essential for fetal development, providing the energy needed to rapidly form a complete skeleton. The fact that someone managed to synthesize it is astonishing, and that Lucy survived ingesting such a massive dose is nothing short of a miracle. By the time she leaves the hospital, her brain capacity has reached 28%. Now her eyes can see through the surface of matter and directly perceive the energy waves within. Lucy immediately returns to the hotel and effortlessly eliminates all enemies in her way. When she finally confronts the crime boss, she drives a dagger straight through the boss's hand. Determined to track down the others carrying the drug, and seeing that the boss refuses to speak, Lucy presses her hands against his forehead, choosing instead to search his memories directly. Within moments, she uncovers information about the other couriers. She then turns to the internet and quickly finds details about brain research expert Professor Norman. Lucy tells him she has read all of his works and expresses great interest in his studies on the human brain.
All of my research? I must have written no less than
6,734 pages.
When the professor still refuses to believe it, Lucy's image suddenly appears on the TV in his room, and she tells him that his research on brain capacity is correct. Once the brain's development reaches 28%, humans will cross into a completely different realm, where remaining mental faculties will open continuously with no barriers in between. She then demonstrates how she's been communicating with him by controlling electromagnetic waves. Unsure what to do next, she listens as the professor reflects that if you look back to the origins of all things, you'll find that the most important purpose of life is to pass on existing knowledge, and that if he were Lucy, he would transmit all that knowledge onward. After hearing his advice, Lucy finally decides to meet the professor, but first she must find the remaining 3 packets of the drug. Because of what happened at the hospital yesterday, Lucy is now wanted nationwide. At the airport, she can already control every cell in her body, easily alters her appearance to blend in, and calls Interpol to offer information on the whereabouts of an illegal syndicate.
Listen up, Piero Del Rio. Sit in your chair, pick up the red pen to the left of you, and take down everything I say. There are no cameras. Hurry up.
When Del Rio returns to his seat in shock, 3 profiles appear on his computer screen, and Lucy instructs him to capture the couriers and deliver the recovered drugs to her. Meanwhile, on the plane, Lucy types at incredible speed, her hands flying across the keyboard so fast that the man sitting next to her is left astonished. But as she takes a sip of water, she suddenly notices her teeth beginning to fall out. At that moment, she recalls Professor Norman's theory: once the human brain develops beyond 40%, if the surrounding environment is no longer suitable for reproduction and survival, the body's cells will choose to abandon the host, shifting towards self-sufficiency and autonomous regulation. When Lucy rushes into the bathroom, she finally understands the cause of her body's abnormalities. Human food can no longer meet the energy demands of her cells, so each cell has chosen to evolve independently. Seeing her body beginning to disintegrate, Lucy swallows the remaining powder in its entirety. When Lucy wakes up again, she finds herself lying in the airport medical room. Del Rio soon arrives following the clues, and as he attempts to take control of her, Lucy merely waves her hand, instantly knocking everyone around unconscious. Under her control, the bullets in Del Rio's gun fall to the ground, a display of power that leaves him stunned. He then reveals the locations of the other 3 couriers, who are currently at the hospital preparing for surgery to extract the powder. On her way to the hospital, Lucy's brain development reaches 50%, and now she can see a thread extending from every person on the street, representing the signal fluctuations of the electronic devices on them. After scanning, she easily locates the information she needs. The crime boss is planning to steal the drugs, and his men have already arrived at the hospital. Lucy decides to drive herself. With just a thought, Del Rio is moved into the passenger seat, and she accelerates to full speed. Under her control, the car weaves effortlessly through every gap, navigating around accidents and obstacles with ease.
Hey, I'd rather be late than dead.
We never really die.
By the time Lucy reaches the hospital, the gangsters have already seized the drugs. When they see Lucy, they try to grab the powder from her as well, unaware that her brain has now developed to 60%. With a mere thought, she creates an invisible vacuum barrier that traps them, instantly disarming all their weapons. The gangsters attempt to attack physically, but their fists cannot reach her, as if an unseen shield separates them. Under Lucy's control, all the enemies are effortlessly hurled away.
Open it.
Then the crime boss learns that the drugs have been taken and recalls the humiliation of having his hand stabbed. Determined to take matters into his own hands, he gathers all his men to confront Lucy. At that moment, Lucy, keeping her promise, seeks out Professor Norman, intending to use the remaining time to answer everyone's questions.
There are men coming here. Can you secure the room? I need to stay focused.
Lucy then explains that numbers are not true units of measurement. 1 + 1 = 2 is merely a construct of human perception, a simplified answer created for understanding. In the true universe, numbers and letters do not exist, and the laws of mathematics have never ruled the world. She gives an example. Imagine a car driving down a road. If its speed is accelerated infinitely, the car would eventually disappear, yet time proves its existence, because in the universe, time is the only true measure. Just as Professor Norman is left in shock, the crime boss arrives, bursting in and opening fire indiscriminately around the room. Fortunately, Del Rio also arrives and, with his intervention, the police manage to hold the gangsters outside temporarily. At the same time, Lucy decides to push her brain development to 100% in the final moments of her life. She instructs Professor Norman to convert the remaining powder into drops for injection, and under her control, all of it is instantly absorbed. The immense energy even radiates from her mouth, forming a pillar of light. When the chaos settles, Lucy's brain has reached 70%. As she opens her eyes, her cells immediately begin to deform and reorganize, and countless black tendrils spread out from her body, rapidly crawling along every corner of the room. They search for matter and energy to sustain Lucy's continued evolution. As the surrounding energy is completely absorbed, Lucy's brain reaches 80%. Having drawn in all the energy around her, the entire room transforms into a blinding white, and in its center, a futuristic supercomputer begins to rapidly take shape. As Lucy pushes her brain development to 90%, she gains the ability to traverse time and space, instantly teleporting anywhere she wishes or returning to any point in history. Millennia of civilizations flash before her eyes. She first arrives on the streets of New York a century ago, still in the steam era, and under her control, she witnesses not only the Native Americans in their original lands but also encounters dinosaurs in the Jurassic period. Finally, Lucy comes face to face with a single ape, and as their fingers touch, the moment mirrors that of God and Adam. This ape is also the first hominid ever discovered in human history, coincidentally named Lucy as well. At the same time, Lucy's consciousness transcends Earth, and before her stretches the infinite cosmos and void. She sees meteors crashing into the planet, and even witnesses the moon splitting from Earth while it is still molten. As she observes more and more, her brain develops to 99%, leaving only the final step. Endless nebulae appear before her eyes as she watches the evolution of the universe, culminating in the origin of humanity. Countless forms of life drift through the void, each striving to pass through the symbolic gateway of life ahead. At this moment, Lucy finally comprehends all the truths of the universe. Her body begins to dissolve as her cells rapidly converge, ultimately transforming completely. Everything returns to the very beginning of the cosmos, for the essence of life has always emerged from nothingness. Lucy's brain reaches full development at 100%, but the cost is her complete disappearance from this world. When the crime boss arrives, he finds no trace of her, and in his fury, Finally, the supercomputer Lucy left behind reacts. She hands a USB drive to Professor Norman and then vanishes completely.
Hey, where is she?
Perhaps Lucy has now transcended three-dimensional life, continuing to exist in another form.
Life was given to us a billion years ago. Now you know what to do with it.